Finally, Marvel tries to tackle an interesting question in What If, but they don't really answer it. The question was, what if the world lost its mightiest heroes? But instead they tackle, what if there was an Avengers serial killer? Regardless, you may be surprised by what I thought of this episode. The episode starts out with the Watcher saying the same thing he always says at the beginning of each episode. A transition screen that says Monday appears, and we go to Nick Fury saying his "there was an idea" speech. While he's doing it, Natasha finishes the line for him, showing that he says it all the time and she's annoyed by it. They pull up to Tony Stark on the donut sign from Iron Man 2. Nat doesn't think Fury should recruit him. He turns it on her and says he took a shot on a Russian assassin. They go into the donut shop and talk. Nat comes from behind and injects Tony with the stuff that helps abate the symptoms of his condition. Tony seems to have a bad reaction to it, coughs, collapses, and dies. The Watcher says, humanity, so eager, so willing to face the impossible, yet blind to the bigger picture. He explains that the events of Iron Man 2, the Incredible Hulk, and Thor all happened within the same week, which I didn't know before. He says, I am the Watcher, and where humans see chaos, I see the crucible that will transform this collection of individuals into a team of heroes. At least, that's how things turned out in one universe, but in this one, ... Cut to a transition screen that says Tuesday. We see the post-credit scene from Iron Man 2 with Coulson finding Mjolnir. We see Black Widow in handcuffs being led to a truck by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, including Crossbones. They think she killed Stark. Fury asks to give them a minute. Nat tells him that she didn't do it. He says he knows, but S.H.I.E.L.D. has protocols and his hands are tied. She says the handcuffs won't hold her, and Fury says he's counting on it. He tells her that someone inside S.H.I.E.L.D. compromised Stark's antidote, and he needs someone on the outside to find out who. While he says that, he hands her the syringe. She's escorted inside the truck, and somehow no one notices the syringe. I mean, look at this. There are agents behind her, but none of them think to look down at her hands. She's a former Russian spy/assassin and a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and you don't think to check? This dude's line of sight is right there. I'd have at least thought that one of them would have looked at her ass.
Come on, man!
But anyways, the truck leaves. She antagonizes them a bit. Then she does this.
Here, mind holding these for me?
Of course, What?
She starts beating up the agent in Crossbones, who's in the front, and says this.
I never did get what he sees in her. Sure, she can land a punch, but only because people don't expect it.
That's really the only intersectional type comment in this episode, which is a plus. She knocks everyone out, but Crossbones can hear the fighting and tells the driver to pull over. He opens the back and she's gone. They don't show a hole in the bottom of the truck, like in Winter Soldier, or a door open, or anything else. She's just gone. A bit lazy. Also, why is this guy smiling? Cut to Fury and Hawkeye talking about Mjolnir. While they're talking, we see Thor taking out S.H.I.E.L.D. agents surrounding the place. Coulson finds one knocked out and tells them to sound the alarms. Coulson sees Thor and says,
He's a Caucasian male, mid-20s, with really great hair.
Excuse me?
It's an accurate description, sir. He's gorgeous.
These kinds of jokes popped up throughout the episode, and they just don't land. Hawkeye gets into position and lines up the shot. Fury tells him to hold fire. As Thor is about to attempt to lift the hammer, Hawkeye lets go and kills Thor. He says it wasn't him. Fury responds with,
Your arrow would indicate otherwise.
It makes no sense that he believes Nat didn't kill Stark, but he thinks Clint killed Thor. He's known Clint longer. You'd think he'd have more trust in him than that. Cut to Hawkeye in a cell, trying to figure out how this happened. He puts his head down. Fury goes in to try and talk to him. He nudges him with his leg, and he finds out he's dead. Fury thinks the same person who killed Stark killed him. This happens.
Wow. Even while rotting, he smells like lavender.
Really?
Again, just a really odd joke that doesn't land. Coulson says there isn't a lot connecting the two, unless he has any ideas, and Fury says this.
There was an idea.
Now that was a good line. It shows the desperation he's feeling. He was preparing to put the team together for so long, but now it's being taken from him in a week. Cut to Culver University in Virginia, where Nat finds Betty Ross. I bet you weren't expecting that. Betty says she doesn't know where Bruce is, and Nat tells her she thinks Stark was murdered. They go to the lab. Betty says there's no traces of lethal pathogens, and the injector is clean. She says whatever killed him wasn't biological, and the antidote didn't even make it out of the syringe. It looks like a tiny projectile was fired from the needle. Betty tells Nat they're done. Nat notices the Stanley's Pizza Parlor uniform and asks her if she has a side job. She's flustered and says a student must have left it there. Fury calls and tells her Clint is dead. She responds with,
Who do I kill?
He says that it looks like his and Stark's murders are connected. He tells her Banner and her are next on the list, and to find Banner. She says she already has and heads to a closet in the lab. Betty tries to stop her, but Nat tells her to move or she'll make her. And Bruce comes out of the closet. No, not in that way. Moving on. We go back to Coulson driving to Mjolnir's location, when all of a sudden a Bifrost appears. It goes away, the dust clears, and we see Loki with an Asgardian army. Fury, along with many other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, pull up, and Fury starts talking with Loki. As he tries to introduce himself, Fury's phone rings. We see Nat with Bruce trying to reach him. General Ross and his army arrive at the university. Fury answers. They tell each other their respective situations. Fury tells her to handle it and hangs up. Loki says he's there for vengeance. Nat tells the army to stand down. Someone shoots Bruce in the shoulder. Ross asks who opened fire, and a soldier responds by saying it wasn't them. Loki is handed a blue box, and Bruce turns into the Hulk. Loki opens the box, icing anything that the beam touches, and the Hulk attacks the army. Hulk starts getting bigger and explodes. Fury tells Loki,
Declaring war on this planet will not bring your prince back!
and Lady Sif, who looks like a masculine Lady Sif, by the way, says he's not wrong and that Odin would want them to listen. Fury says they have the same enemy and that they should be working together. Loki says they're not allies, and Fury says, then let me help you. He continues by saying that when he finds the killer, he'll have his pound of flesh. Loki says he wants the entire corpse. Fury tells him he needs time, and Loki says this.
Very well. You have until the next rise of Midgard's sun to deliver my brother's assassin, or I will reduce this planet to ash and ice.
Cut to Nat in a public library. She needs Coulson's password to get into the system, since she's locked out. He's hesitant, but she convinces him, and he gives it to her.
Hashtag Steve. I heart Steve. 0704.
This joke worked, since it's well established that Coulson was a Captain America fanboy. But anyway, when she gets in, she finds out a woman who died 2 years ago accessed the database yesterday. She calls Fury, but when she does, she hears footsteps behind her. She tells the person that they won't win, and proceeds to get beat up by seemingly no one. While this is happening, the call goes to Fury's voicemail, and she says,
Fury, it's hope! It's all about hope!
she's the only one we don't see die/dead. I don't know why, but we don't, even though she is. Cut to Fury in a diner, playing the message over and over again. Coulson walks up and tells him there's one name left on the Avengers Initiative, and it's his. Fury says he's not the only Avenger left, and walks away. He goes to his car and grabs the pager to contact Captain Marvel. He realizes what the message meant, and puts the pager away. Thank God. You don't need to ruin this episode with her, right? Right? Fury drives to Loki's makeshift ice castle and goes up to the Destroyer, who's guarding the castle. Fury tells him he's there to see his boss. Transition to Thursday. He arrives at a graveyard and goes to Hope Van Dyne's grave that says, "Beloved daughter, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D." Why is that a change? Don't know. Hank Pym arrives in the Yellow Jacket suit, I think, and it's revealed that she was killed on a mission for S.H.I.E.L.D. in Odessa, Ukraine. Hank says she joined because of her mother, who died the same way by doing S.H.I.E.L.D.'s dirty work. We see him coming out of the syringe, him causing Hawkeye to fire, him flying away from killing Hawkeye, him and Bruce's bullet wound and causing his heart to grow, exploding him, and him standing in front of Nat. Pym says this about Thor and Fury.
His death was a favor. Yours will be a triumph.
There's that word again. They fight. Fury avoids all of his attacks, and we find out that it's Loki. He uses his powers, unlike in his own show.
Now get out of my way.
And beats Pym. Fury comes out and says, S.H.I.E.L.D. is people willing to give their lives for something greater than themselves, to save the world from men like you. Agent Hope Van Dyne understood that, and she will never be forgotten. As Pym is getting taken away, he says this.
Then you honor her. Then honor her.
Loki says he might extend his stay in Midgard/Earth, if you didn't know. Fury asks, for how long? Transition to Friday. Loki arrives at the United Nations. He gives a speech saying he's the new ruler of Earth. But I thought Lokis are destined to fail.
Because we, my friends, have but one part to play. The god of outcasts. Nothing more.
Anyway, cut to Fury and Coulson standing over the coffins of the Avengers. Fury says, the Avengers were always meant to be more than a team. They were an idea. The affirmation of humanity's need to believe that in their darkest hour, we will find our heroes, and walks out. This really reflects the time we're living in as well, I'm sure unintentionally. People are waiting for someone to save the day, to save them from the woke trash and entertainment, the lockdowns, etc. Even though it's them who need to stand up, we have this belief that Captain America will thaw out of the ice and save the day. Speaking of Captain America, Fury finds Captain America, and while they show it, the Watcher says,
I believe that in this universe, as in every other, hope never dies. As long as someone keeps their good eye on the bigger picture.
And ready? Here we go.
Welcome back, Captain.
So, where's the fight?
So I guess she's going to be part of the different Avengers now and take down Loki? This completely undermined Cap, whether it was intentional or not. Also, he must have used the pager off screen because he didn't use it before. Anyway, that's the end of the episode. I thought the episode was actually decent. The problem, though, is that it doesn't answer the question posed, really. All we get in that regard is Loki takes over at the very end, and Captain Marvel comes back in the last 2 minutes. I would have liked to see the world under Loki's control, and different heroes take him down. Instead, they showed us, what if the Avengers were being hunted by a serial killer? There's also no explanation about why Hope's grudge with S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone. They say her motivations, but not what changed. I liked the idea of the episode, though, and the approach to it, but the question should have been different. There was some decent writing in this episode with a couple of really good lines. The jokes, however, almost never landed and were really cringy. They keep hiring people who have little to no experience and putting them on Disney's biggest moneymaker. This one was better, though. Again, the acting was hit or miss. The voice actress for Black Widow, like Belle, was terrible. She was so monotone and one note. She had no range in her voice at all, just flat the whole time. By the way, she didn't look anything like Black Widow from Iron Man 2, which she was supposed to be. They toned down her looks a lot. The voice actress for Betty Ross, Stephanie Pinicello, was great. She had great range and was able to portray emotion well. Samuel L. Jackson was decent. At some points, he didn't sound quite like he normally would, but at others, he delivered. Jeremy Renner wasn't very good for the time he was in it. He changed his voice for the animation, it seems, and it didn't work. Clark Gregg as Agent Coulson was fine, but they used his character as a joke the entire time, and almost none of them landed. Loki was pretty good too. Not his best performance, but he was better than most in this series. I don't necessarily have an issue with Captain Marvel being in it, but the way they did it was completely careless and extremely disrespectful to Cap. Most of the people they hire have no love for the source material, lore, or characters, and won't even catch that, unless they meant to disrespect Cap. They just cared about putting Captain Marvel in. They don't care about the old characters because a lot of them are straight white men. They just care about pushing diversity and representation. Their focus is on Phase 4 and the MCU. Overall, I thought this episode was interesting and pretty decent. It's definitely the best episode of the series by far. This is what happens when you focus on making a good product, at least with inexperienced writers. If you got better ones, this could have been great. Don't expect it to last though. Marvel hires based on only checking boxes and pushing identity politics. I'm so sick of this woke and intersectional trash they've been giving us. This was sort of a breath of fresh air. I was shocked that I kinda liked this. Thanks for watching. Give me your thoughts on the episode. Do you agree with me? Maybe you disagree? Let me know. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, comment, share. I have another channel called The Thoughtful Outlaw Sports, where I talk about basketball, baseball, football, anything else sports related that I'm interested in. So check that out if you're interested, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.